All right, what's up? We are going to be taking a look at some beginner left hand patterns to use when you're playing hymns, when you're learning a new tune, or just to improvise and change up a song you already know. Okay, so some of the patterns we'll be learning, and we'll be learning with this tune. Let me go ahead and demonstrate for you. There's one of them. Another one is. Alright, and then let's go ahead and demonstrate a few more just so you get an idea what we're going to learn. Oh, let's do this one first. This one. Oh. All right, and then this one here. All right, so we'll be learning a couple of those. And let's see, what else do I have in here? All right, so we've got three different patterns and a couple of variations of each. So really, when you take and combine all these possibilities, you're going to have 12 or 13 or so different options to play in your left hand, and pretty simple. So even if you're just getting started, you can add a lot of variation to your playing, and this is really for when you're improvising or when you're playing hymns. This really comes in handy. But really anything you're playing, if you just want to sit down and you want to learn a song, this gives you options. If you can pick out the melody, or maybe you can learn the melody from notes, and you can change the song, you can add to it, you can just improvise over that melody with these different patterns. So let me show you a few different ideas. Let's try Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Or you can go oh, that's not here. Okay, so just simple little songs like that, and you can add to your melodies. You can improvise with these patterns. So let's take a look at some of them. First of all, you need to be familiar with the key of C. We're going to learn these in the key of C, and if you haven't yet, go through our lessons on each key, so you know your scales and your different keys. You need to know your C scale, and you need to be familiar with your chords in the key of C. All right, so like your one chord, the C chord, and then here's your two minor chords, the 2 and 3, but then the 4 chord and the 5 chord, F and G. F, G, and of course you've got your A minor, but those, the C, the F, and the G, in the key of C, they're called the 1, 4, and 5. Those are the ones we're going to be using most, actually exclusively in this lesson as we learn this tune and these different patterns. All right. So, but if you haven't gone over the lesson on the key of C, you need to be familiar with that. If you don't know how to read notes, you can learn. Okay. So we've got some lessons there for that. But if you don't do notes, you can follow along still. But it'll help you if you're familiar with the notes here. So we've got our scale. We understand we're playing in the key of C. We're going to use white notes, and we'll be using these 3 chords as we learn these patterns. All right, so follow along here in this lesson sheet, and this sheet I encourage you to download it and print it off if you need to, or have it on your computer and practice at your keyboard so you can follow along with what we're doing here. So the first pattern we're going to learn, real simple, is just a whole note or a whole measure of the same chord. And you hold it down. You just play it through the whole measure. All right. Now we're practicing in the 4/4 time signature here. So that means each measure is going to have 4 beats. All right. Each measure will have 4 beats, and we'll hold this down for the whole measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. The exception will be when the chord changes in the middle of the measure. In that case, we'll go ahead and change to the new chord. So that's what happened there. But this pattern, by and large, is to hold the chord down as you play each measure. Okay, let's take a look at variation 2. Now this is just doubling it up. Here we're holding it out for 4 beats. Here we'll hold them out for 2 beats. So it would sound like this. Alright, so it kind of fills it out a little bit more. And variation 3, the same pattern. We're just going to go ahead and do it every beat. We're going to play the chord every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. The idea is to change it up. So all right. So use variation. Let's take a look at pattern number 2, variation number 1. We're going to take the same chord and we're going to break it up like this. We're going to play the root or the C, and then the E and the G. We're going to split them up by 2 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's right here. This is our second pattern, our first variation. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And variation 2 is just, again, doubling it up. And so, even though it seems like there's no difference, doubling up the timing or playing it faster, playing on every beat changes the whole feel of it. So we'll now play 1, 2, and rather than going on the 3rd beat back to the C, you can do that, but to add a really neat effect is to play that G. And if it's not too challenging for you, reach down here and play that. And you've got that bouncing bass feel. Bum, 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 bum. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? There is the variation on our second pattern. And let's take a look at the third variation. This one just doubles up even more. Now we're going to play every half beat. So we're going to be playing 8th notes. So take a look at variation number 3 of our second pattern. It's right here. And it's going to be played like this, even faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And this is a lot of fun and it really gets moving. It's also kind of hard. If you're not used to playing, and reaching down here, if you got smaller hands, this could be kind of hard. Again, it's perfectly fine just to stay on that C and go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But you can hear the difference when you've got that G in there. Alright, so it goes like this. Oh, I did that wrong. So. We'll get into how to change the chords there in just a minute, but just so you understand the pattern, let's take a look at pattern number 3, variation number 1. This is just a broken chord. So we've got the C chord that we've been working with, and the broken chord on every beat, we'll play 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? That's pattern for your first variation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Variation 2, let's just do it twice as fast. We're going to do eighth notes now. Ready? Okay, so there's two variations. Let's take a look at the third variation. Now we're going to invert the order of the notes. The first time we did it like this. Straight up and then straight down. C, E, G, E. Then we did it fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We can do the same thing but change the order in which we play the notes and it gives it a whole different effect. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next variation is just like we did before, play it faster, eighth notes now. And so here would be eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And ready? Here's the demonstration. Alright, so you get the idea. So those are several different easy left-hand patterns you can use. Now let's go ahead and take a look at them with our other chords. Real quickly, let's go ahead and take a look at how we would play with the F chord. So here with the F chord, I'm going to use this F, which is right here, and then A, C. And that's how we would play with the F chord. You can also use an inversion of this chord, and you can take this note right here, this one right here, move it down here, and now we can play this inversion. This is called the second inversion, but this is another way you can play the F chord. So when you're playing, you can play it like that. Now, let's go ahead and take a look. Same thing with the other pattern. Just double it up. And then when we get to our broken chords, okay, take a look right here. Just use the same shape of the chord and rock back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then when we do quarter notes, right here, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So we get that F, C. That's what gives us that bouncing bass feel. Bum, 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 bum. You can use your second inversion and go like this. It sounds fine, but I think it sounds better to have that F on the one beat and the C on the third beat. Okay, so that's how I would do it. Now, just also here, same thing when we double it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Now, our next pattern right here, broken chord. Same thing. You can just use the same chord up and down, and then double it up, and then change the order. Okay, that's for your F chord. So there's a few times in the tune we're going to learn. You're going to see that F chord, and so we'll use it. Sometimes you only need it for 2 beats. So in this case, like if you only need the F, if you only have the F chord for 2 beats, you would just use half of this pattern, right? Here we can use a whole cycle of the pattern because we can do it twice in one measure. But here, just use 2 of those notes, and then back to the new chord, whatever it is, C, whatever it is. So when you only need 2 beats of a 4-beat pattern, just use half of it, and it's not a big deal. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in G real quick. I suggest using the G chord down here. When you use it up here, sometimes it gets in your way. But we will use it up here as well. But take a look. I'm using this G chord, D, G, and B. All right. Let's jump down and demonstrate. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's this pattern right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this is the second inversion. See, all we've done is we've taken this G chord that we're familiar with. We've taken this note right here. We moved it down here. So we've inverted the order of the notes. You can do it up here, but when you're playing the tune we're going to learn, our hands are going to be kind of crowded. So move it down here. Now when we break it up, 1, 2, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then here when we do this pattern, again, I like having that G, like with the F chord and the C chord, like having the F on the first beat with the F chord, or the C on the first beat with the C chord. Same thing, I like the G on the first beat with the G chord. So I'm going to suggest moving it up here. Now it may get in the way of your right hand, but just I would say it's worth it, to kind of get out of the way for a second to get this bouncy bass feel. And you can do it down here also. Sounds more bassy down there anyway. But use the same inversion, use the same setup here when you do this one right here. When we double it up in eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I like it up here better. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Now I'm also going to show you the broken chord in this right here. Okay. Here's the G, B, D, B. Okay. That's the quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we double it up to eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and here we invert the order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, go ahead and take a look. We can also play this pattern with our other inversion. So put your hand back here where we had it for these in this shape of G chord. Alright? And you just take the same pattern, start with the D, and go up and down like this. See how the same pattern, just different inversion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or double it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or you can invert the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same formula, and you can do that in any spot really with the G chord if you were to play this inversion. Okay, so it works on any inversion. Just think of the same pattern. Okay, so those are our left-hand patterns. Next lesson we'll go ahead and learn how to play it with this tune right here. There is power in the blood. Alright, we're back here with beginner left-hand patterns. Let's go ahead and review what we talked about in the last lesson. We learned several different patterns. The idea here is to have options to use when you're playing, and also to familiarize yourself with common patterns you're going to find when you're reading music. So the first one we saw, pattern number 1 right here, is just to hold the chord for the whole measure. And then to play the chord twice throughout the measure. This is in 4/4 times, so we've got half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the next one, to play it every beat, the chord on every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, pattern number 2 is when we break the chord up, and we do it by playing the C first, and then the E and G together. And the first way is to play every 2 beats. 1, 2, 3. The second way is to play every beat. 1, 2, and we reach to this G, if you're able to. Gives it a nice bouncy bass sound. Right? And then we can also play it as eighth notes. Okay? Double the pattern up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. This one's hard. So if you need to, just stay on that C. Pattern 3 is a broken chord. This is the first pattern. Quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pattern number 2, we just play it as eighth notes, so twice as fast. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we can change the order in which we play the notes. Let's play C, G, E, Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Or we can play them also as eighth notes and make it sound completely different. It goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay? And these are the chords we use with the other chords. C, we're using these chords. This chord right here. We're using it playing the C chord right here. Okay, but when we get to F, we'll use this one. And I also said you can use this one. Those are two great options. So the first pattern, just play this chord, break it up like this, or we're using this one like this. Or whichever option you like better, and of course you can change it up. It's right here. And then on the F chord, there's right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then of course our other option 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have notated 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then the G chord. This is more convenient to play down here because you'll be getting in the way of your right hand if you keep moving on up. But you can play it here as well and just let your hands get out of each other's way. That's definitely an option. So let me show you down here. Here's what we'll use for pattern 1. Then we're going to break the chord up right here. Go 1, 2. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or up here. 1, 2, 3. We're playing as quarter notes. We want to jump down and grab that D. So when you play them as quarter notes, I suggest playing it up here so we get that bum, 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 bum sound. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go to the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you can do it down here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I definitely like it up here better. And then our broken chord, I have it written right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or right here. The next way to do it, eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or change the order. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And of course you can do these same patterns down here in this inversion. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Alright, so that's a little review of the patterns we learned. That gives you a lot of options. I think 14 different ways to play in the left hand. So let's learn with this hymn. There's power in the blood. I love using hymns to teach these because, first of all, hymns are simple harmonically. They have just a couple chords, and they really great practice of the basics. And so if you don't know the hymn, it's fine. You know, if you do, that's great too. It's just another song that you're learning. So just as if you were to take any workbook as you learn an instrument, they're going to have songs in there. That's all we're doing here. But this is a great old hymn. There's power in the blood, and this is how this melody goes. Go ahead and take a look. I'll play through it for you. We'll start up here, right here. Okay, we're starting like this. It goes, would you be free from your. Okay, so it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and same note. All right. Now we keep going to the second measure, and it's 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay. If you're not familiar with this is a dotted quarter note, meaning it gets 1.5 beats. We're playing this on the 3, so it would go 3, 4, and. We'd come in right before the 1 beat, on the and before the 1 beat. So it'd go like this. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Now the next part is is the same, except for a little change at the end. It goes like this. 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, I'm starting right here. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, just like it's got a dotted quarter note here, it gets 1 beat plus a half. Same thing with the dotted half note. It gets 2 beats plus 1 beat. It's always 1.5 of what it would be without the dot. Okay, so 1.5 of 2 beats is 3 beats. So 1, 2, 3, and we're coming right here on 4. Let's start here on 4 and. It goes like this. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's keep going. This is the chorus section. Alright, I'll start there again, same spot, right here. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's keep going. Starting right here. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. All right. So simple melody. Hopefully you were able to follow along with that. If not, go ahead and stop the video, pause it, go back as much as you need to. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chords now. I've written chords above each measure. So this is the chords you'll play with that part of the song. So the first measure, the whole thing is a C chord. So let's play pattern 1 with the first measure. Sorry, they're whole notes, so hold it throughout the whole measure like this. Okay, let's keep going with pattern 1 all the way to here. All right, so take a look. It would be 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so there the chord changes in the middle of the measure. So even though the pattern is to hold it for a whole measure, go ahead and change the chord when the chord changes. And so it's kind of sounding like pattern number, or variation 2 of pattern 1, where we're just playing every 2 beats. And that's fine. Let's keep going. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, that's pattern 1. Let's try the second variation of pattern 1. We play every 2 beats. Ready? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And let's try pattern number 2 where we play every beat. It would go like this. Ready? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, and so on. Now take a look right here so you get a feel of that dotted quarter note with the 8th note. A lot of times, especially if you're not familiar with this, it's kind of hard to get at first. So watch how we do it. This A is with the first beat. They're played together. The next A is played with the second beat. And then this comes in between the second and third beat. So they come together there. Burden of sin. And then we play nothing in the right hand while we play that 4th beat in the left hand. So watch. Burden of sin, 4 and 1, 2 and 3. Okay, watch again. Burden of sin. One more time. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4. All right. Now let's go ahead and try a couple variations here, a couple of other patterns. The other one was the broken chord. beats. Okay, so we're playing the C, and then the E and the G. When we get to F, it'll be the F, and then like that. Or you can do it down here. That's still an F chord. You just move the C down here. When we get to the G, I suggest playing it here. Or you can also do it here. Here it goes. Ready? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Alright, so the second line is the same as the first, except for that last measure where it leads into the chorus. Let's go ahead and do a few on the chorus so you can see how we would do this. Okay, so starting here where it says there is, we're going to start on 4 and those will be pickup notes, or we'll play them by themselves. Alright, so going into the chorus, let's try a few of pattern number 3 where we're playing the broken chord. Well, actually, let's go ahead and do the last couple of pattern 2 where we do the bouncing bass. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what we're going to do this time. Ready? Starting on the chorus. Right here, pickup notes, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're on the F, so we're going to jump to here. I suggest using your forefinger so you have your pinky free for that C. It goes like this: 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1. Okay, now here the chord changed in between, right in the middle of the measure, so we just played half of the pattern. Wonder working power in the... Now we're going to G. Let's jump up to G. Remember, I suggest playing it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep going. Now again, here we have the chord changing in the middle of the measure, so only play half of the pattern. All right, it goes like this. Played it pretty slow. Let's do it again, and I'll count through it with that bouncing bass. All right, it goes like it starts right here, and it goes like this. Ready? 4, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's keep going. It does the same thing here with the F and the C. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Another quick note: when you're going to do that bouncing bass, you're going to grab that note down here. Go ahead and play your 4 on that C, and then your 1 and 2 here. It makes it a lot easier to reach down there. If you're going to do the reach, you can stay on the C. That's fine. If you're going to do the reach, play like this. Okay? And then that would apply the same thing on F. When you get to F, you use the forefinger on the F, 2 and thumb on these, so that it makes it easier to do that reach. And with G as well. Okay? So there you have it. Let's next lesson we'll jump into applying the last pattern, which is probably the hardest, with this little tune. All right, this is the last lesson on this last lesson for this portion of beginner left hand patterns. Let's go ahead and do some review over what we've gone over so far. We've learned 3 different patterns and a couple variations on each to give you options when you're playing, if you're improvising or when you're playing hymns. All right, or any song you can play these patterns with. The first pattern we learned is just to hold the chord for the whole measure of 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. The second is to play it every 2 beats. The chord, hold the chord for 2 beats and play it twice per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last variation of pattern 1 was just play this chord every measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our second pattern was to break the chord up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we play the C for 2 beats, and then E and the G. Or, of course, with the other chords, F and then A and C, or G and then B and D. Or, as I suggest, playing the G down here, D and then G and B like that. But then we can also play it faster. We can play every beat, right? 1, 2, 3. And when you do this, I suggest you start with the note of the chord. So if it's a C chord, you start with the C, and then go down to the 5 of that chord, which is, in this case, with F. F. Then we play the A and the C up here, and then we reach to this C, and it gives it the bum, 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 bum. Sounds really good. When you're doing this pattern, play the first note with your forefinger. Play these two with your 1 and with your 2 finger and your thumb, so it makes this reach easier. You can reach down easier. Okay, same thing with the C. Play the C with your 4, 2 and thumb on the E and G, and then reach to that G. There you go. And then to change this pattern up, we can do it even faster as 8th notes, as we saw down here. Okay, makes it a lot of fun there. Now our next one, we just break the chord up, play 1 note at a time of the chord, like this. C, E, D, E, as quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or with F and G. Or you can play it down here. Double them up with 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then change the order. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, G, E, G. It's 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so several different options there. And then of course you want to be familiar with your 3 major chords here in C, as we're learning this in the key of C. And that's your C, F, and G. And you want to be able to do all these patterns with all these notes, with all these chords. And the G especially, you want to be able to do it down here as well, because you're going to need to be able to do it down there very often. And it wouldn't hurt to practice the F down here also. So that's F and G, both down there. You can practice these patterns there. So you need to be able to do all these patterns with each of these chords. With the chords. Now let's go ahead and review as we got into our melody, our song that we were learning. So the melody goes like this. G, that's where we start. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and go up to the F. 1, 2, and 3. Now here's that tricky part where we hold this note through the 4th beat and then come in on the and of the 4 right before the 1 of the next measure. Goes like this. So I'll start at the beginning of this measure. I'm starting right here. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Let me say something about fingering. I didn't write fingering in here. Maybe I'll do that in the future. But you do not want to, obviously don't want to play the piano like this. You want to utilize all your fingers. And so as you practice through this tune, figure out where you want to put your hand. For me, for those first 2 measures, I like having these 2 fingers ready to play those notes. Now I pick up my hand here, and I know I'm going to need to get up to the E here soon, so I'll play with my 3 finger on the C. That way I'm utilizing all my fingers, and I'm making it easy on myself. I don't have to move my hand quite as much. Then I'll reposition my hand like I had at first. Then back. So you want to use all your fingers, and once you figure out the best way for you to play it, use the same fingers every time. That's so important. If you're always struggling trying to remember what finger do I put here, then you're going to you're not going to learn the notes because you're going to be too busy trying to noodle out the fingering every single time. So once you get in the habit of using the same fingers, and if it's hard for you, it might be good for you to print this out and write the fingering in. It's very important. So let's go ahead and keep going throughout the melody here. The next part of the song is the same as the first, so we get to here. All right. Okay, that brings us to here, and then the chorus is like this: G, C, E, 2, 3, 4. Now right here, measure 39. This can be kind of hard, but what you want to make sure is you get the right fingering. This is the fingering I do. Okay, 4 on the D, 3 on the 2 C's, then 2 on the A, and I'm ready to go for my G chord, for my B. There you go, and we're set up for the next phrase. Okay, so let's start here again. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, measure 39. 1 and 2 and 3. 4 and 1, 2, 3. 4 and 1, 2, 3. 4 and 1. Okay, so I'm right here. Let's start there again and move this down. And scroll. Alright, so it goes 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and the measure 43. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so here we need to get up to that F. So let's position our hand. Let's go ahead and use our 2 finger on the B. 4 and 1, 2, then our pinky on that high F. And 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. Don't forget how we count this dotted quarter. It's 1, 2. We don't play anything on the 2. We hold it through the 2, and then right after the 2, we play it on that and. So it's in the precious. Here it goes. In the 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Let's go ahead and put our patterns, our different left-hand patterns with it. So we kind of experimented with our first pattern. Pretty easy, but it's also very useful. And don't be afraid to play less once in a while. If you're good at playing, it's just adds a lot of variation when you pull back for a second. So use variety. First pattern. First pattern. The second pattern is when we break the chord up like that. So, it's an F chord there. Change to the C, the G. So this is the first 2 patterns, but this lesson I wanted to show you, and we looked at those in the last lesson. So this lesson, let's jump into the last pattern and the variations we have there. We break the chord up. Okay. So let's go ahead. We're going to play one note of the chord on every beat. So let's count it out, starting right here. The C and the G come together. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and then we're going to go to the F. 1, 2, and now I'm using this F chord here. You can come up here. But since we're going right back to the C on that third beat, I just go ahead and stay here. So again, since we've got this pattern takes 4 beats, and we've only got 2 beats of the F and 2 beats of the C following that, just play half the pattern. Let's double it up. Ready? And the next part is the same. So go ahead and I'll just play the same part there. Ready? And then let's change the order of the notes. And then double it up. Okay, let's count it, just so that if you're getting lost, you can stay with me. It goes like this: 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, let's take a look at measure 31. Look at measure 31. That's where it's got that dotted quarter in the 8th note. Make sure we're getting that right. It goes like this. We're on the F chord, but we're only playing half the pattern. I'm starting on the C, doing that. That's what I'm doing in that measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a look. Ready? 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. Okay? So we play nothing on the 4, and then we come in with the right hand. I'm sorry, the right hand is playing nothing on the 4, while the left hand is playing that note on the 4th beat. And then the right hand is waiting, and then it comes in right before the first beat, in between the 4th and the 1st. Hopefully you're starting to feel that. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Let's play them as 8th notes. This is a little tricky. Watch how it goes. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, so measure 31 again, just so we're getting it right. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay. It's going to take some practice. Go slow, count it out, and make sure you're getting that dotted 8th and quarter, that dotted quarter note and 8th note. They're coming together. Measure 31. The A and the C are coming together. And you hold that for the next note. 1, and then these G. These next 2 notes are played on each 8th note. So it's this is held for 3 8th notes. 1, and 2, and we come in with the C on that last 8th note. Alright, so those are the last couple of patterns we talked about. Let's go ahead and now let's add some variety. Let's use all of them. Ready? Oh, that's the F chord. I messed that up. So the idea is to learn these, get familiar with them, and then throw them in and use them, change it up, and that way you've got all these tools at your disposal. It just sounds great as you can add variety. One thing you don't want to do is get stuck in a rut, and where all you can do, or all you're comfortable doing, is maybe this. Nothing wrong with doing that, but the problem is that's all you can do. So you want to have your options. So left hand patterns. Any questions? You're confused? You need some clarification? I went too fast, or you missed something? Let me know. I'm here. I want to answer your questions. So utilize that comments down there at the bottom of the page, and I'll get back. I want to help you out if you missed something, if you're confused on anything.